need change. On transport, Minister Ryan has promised to halve the cost of student leaf cards. We welcome this step, but we need more. A reliance on electric vehicles will not do the job. Pushing electric cars as a solution will still mean that we'll have to use carbon-intensive machine parts in their production. We need we still need thousands of car parts to fit these. This will significantly hamper any change to rural transport. I want to finish off by an appeal to our universities and our government. Divest, divest, divest. Universities should not be in the businesses of providing courses for fossil fuel industries. UCD, my university, takes $2 million every year from Tullow Oil. Universities have no place in profiting from the very industries that are killing our planet. We need change. So I'm going to finish off on a chant. System change, not climate change. System change. System change.
No climate change.
System change.
No climate change.
Thanks, guys, and thanks, Albert.
Thank you very much, Darrell. Our universities are a disgrace if they do not call a halt to any further investment in fossil fuel infrastructure. Let's not actually look at the consumers here. Let's look at the producers and the enablers of the continuation of the use of fossil fuels. And that is all about big business. And to my mind, having been an academic for 40 years, universities have no business being in business with big business and should keep out. I am now going to call Catherine Stocker. I'm so sorry, Catherine. It was because we had a bit of a change there. Who's going to speak for the Social Democrats, who have a very strong climate policy. You're very, very welcome.
Thanks, Elsa. Okay, I'm going to try and get up on this thing. If I fall off, it'll be there. So, I suppose I'm here to say this is the fight of our lives for our lives. And we are here today to tell our government and other governments across the world that we cannot accept empty promises, that pretty words are not enough, that we demand action. We must, we can, and we will shift towards a global community that prioritises social justice, human well-being and planetary sustainability. We can no longer have a global system predicated on maximising growth and prioritising profit. There are many reasons to act for climate, and some of them are selfish. Some of them are to protect ourselves, our children, our grandchildren. Others are altruistic. They are to protect other children on islands far from this one, other species, other habitats. Ultimately, no matter what your reason, it is time to stand up and fight back. However, all of these things in our lives are connected, and we need to be able to make the kind of change we need to make. Just as there's no point in telling someone working low-paid long hours that they should eat more healthily and sustainability, there's no point in telling any of us we can continue working and living in the way we do and advance the climate agenda. Reduced working hours for all employees so we can live meaningfully and sustainably are changes we need to eat, live, move around the city and planet more sustainably. In terms of the Climate Action Plan itself, while the Just Transition Commission is welcome, and it was achieved by the opposition pointing out that the government had tried to move away from it, there are reports of 125 billion costs, most of which is to be put on individuals. Leo Varadkar this week said that people should use their COVID savings to retrofit their homes. I'm not sure what planet he's living on, but those who lost their jobs during COVID do not have COVID savings. Those who still had to pay their rent, their bills, their utilities, their grocery bills, do not have COVID savings. Telling people who already have enough to do it, rather than creating a pathway for the vast majority of people to do so, is not good enough. In Italy, by contrast, there is a 110% grant for retrofitting. Well, it's telling me to finish up here, so I will just finish up by saying our privilege will not protect us. This is a global crisis. So all of us here together are here to say that, like the sea, we rise, and we will continue to do so until we are heard.
Thank you so much, Catherine. It's a bit of a worry when our leaders, our Taoiseach, is not quite clear what planet we're actually living on at this moment. And I think we have to tell him that ordinary people, ordinary families, ordinary communities can't afford retrofitting, can't afford to be driving electric vehicles around the place. What we can do with is free public transport and a proper network all around the country. That would be the kind of thinking that might actually get us somewhere, which is exactly what we mean by real action rooted in social justice, not pie-in-the-sky investment, big business talk, which is what has brought us to the point where the planet is under a death knell. Our next speaker is Mehmet Uludag, who is the national organiser of United Against Racism. Am I seeing Mehmet is right here behind me? Sorry, Mehmet. He is originally from Turkey, a migrant, and he set up United Against Racism and has been involved in anti-racism movements and many other movements and campaigns ever since he came here, and no doubt before that in Turkey. Mehmet, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Alva, and greetings to you all, and thanks for coming out today. I'd like to talk about climate, refugees, and international solidarity, which I believe is an important aspect of this struggle. Between 2000 and now, global refugee numbers rose from 30 million to 80 million plus. And some of those, many of those leaders in Glasgow this week knew that the wars they have started, supported, or armed, or in fact not objected, would have caused millions of refugees. And they did it anyway. And their response to refugee crisis and to refugees seeking safety was closed borders, border barbarism, and racist policies. Today, those leaders at COP know that the climate change is going to impact all of us everywhere and will displace millions more people around the world. Some people in some of the poorest parts of the world. They know the estimates that up to 250 million people will be displaced in the foreseeable future. Already millions of people are being displaced as we speak because of climate change and related disasters. Knowingly and willingly, our leaders refuse to take real action and meanwhile strategize about further border barbarism, racist policies and militarization of our borders and implement racist policies at every level. Climate refugees don't even have the most basic legal definition to protect them. Those who risk our lives here will not care about millions of people outside of our borders. Those who have no shame in allowing millions of people being displaced will have no shame risking our lives here in this country and in wider Europe. Climate change is a common threat to all of us. Our enemy is not the people, the refugees seeking solidarity and refuge. The threat we are facing is not the child, woman or man at our borders, but our very own homegrown politicians and the interest that they are looking after. That's our real threat in this country and in Europe. Our problem is racism that divides us and gives the far right an opportunity to spread their poison. An Irish worker, a refugee, a migrant, an ordinary person in Europe or the global south have a lot more in common than we think. Together we can fight to stop climate change. Together in unity and solidarity we can fight for human rights and for the future of this planet. Not one person left behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mehmet, for those very strong words. As we set out to build, to reimagine and to build a different world which will be sustainable, let's build it, let's imagine it, let's make it without borders, We said it many, many, many decades ago, and we still need to say the world needs to be, we need a world without borders. Our next speaker is the Socialist Party former TD, Ruth Coppinger. Ruth, you're very, very welcome. Ruth, who has been involved in so many campaigns. We have fought alongside one another over many years.
Thanks a million. I'll try to stand on this. We're living in the hottest 7 years that have ever happened on the planet. The damage to the natural world and our environment is plain to see, and the cause irrefutable. Media coverage of COP26 may give the impression that climate change is finally getting the attention it deserves. But Greta Thunberg has cut through the spin. COP26 is business as usual and blah, blah, blah. World political and business leaders are putting on a great act in Paris. They're reenacting the rom-com, Forget Paris. They've been forgetting Paris for 5 years, and very soon they'll forget Glasgow. Because since Paris, we can fall into the trap of thinking it's merely inaction. The fossil fuel industry has had 3.8 trillion pumped into it since Paris by the banks. They made an agreement on coal in Glasgow, but the coal-producing countries just didn't sign up. They know the severity, they've known the signs for decades, but they're trapped. They're trapped by the logic and ideology of capitalism. A system run for private profit is incompatible with sustainability. The earth only exists to be exploited. How can transformation of the economy take place when the economy is in the hands of a tiny few? Billionaires who are anti-worker, who are exploitative, and who are climate wrecking, who are busy rocketing into space while the planet burns. As a placard said yesterday, the wrong Amazon is burning. That's why climate change has to be anti-capitalist. The task that's posed is completely novel. It's never been done before. A worldwide movement to force change in how a global economy and society is run in order to safeguard our very existence. Young people and skilled students have led the way on climate change. They even drew the correct conclusion about strikes, but we can't leave them on their own. The trade union movement has to get involved. We need a united movement of workers, of young people. We can't win without that. Natural resources and the wealth that exists have to be taken out of big business control in order to make the public investment into public transport, into renewable energies, to make the changes that are needed in agriculture and in society, without the job and income losses that we know the capitalists would inflict on working people and the poor. So to finish, Greta Thunberg, who's playing a blinder in Glasgow, by the way, Greta Thunberg has said individual actions are useless unless an individual takes a decision to be part of a collective movement. Let's build a multi-generational, multi-gendered, multiracial climate movement with workers and poor to the forefront. Let's try and strive today to build that movement, because it won't be built by the people in Leinster House. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Can I just say that there are yellow Viz jackets at the back there, where are they, Reid? In the Garda van for children. And it's wonderful to see children here, but you might want to put a yellow Viz jacket on your child. Most of the children I know refuse to do anything their parents want them to do, but you can have a try in any case. But it's very appropriate, because of course the world that we have to build, it is a world which is about the future, and the future of all the young people today, and the future of the children. I think of my own child, and I think of my grandchildren, and I think of all of the young people and the legacy that we will be leaving them unless we take action. So it is a particular pleasure to ask our last speaker up to the platform here at the Garden of Remembrance. And that is Jessie from Fridays for Future, who've been doing such an incredible job long before many of the rest of us.
It's amazing to see so many of you out here today. As you are aware, the 26th Conference of Parties is now underway in Glasgow. We are here today to demand concrete action from our Irish representatives across the sea, something which has been lacking in the previous 25 conferences. The climate crisis is a growing issue. It is no longer an issue of the future. We are already seeing its present-day impact on our world. Floods, storms, droughts, and forest fires have all made headlines this year alone. These impacts are being especially felt by the most affected people and areas, where it is already affecting their daily lives. Action can no longer wait. We are here today to remind our leaders that the climate crisis is still a pressing issue that has not stopped because of COVID-19. The recent IPCC report has made certain what we already knew, that this is a crucial time in acting to halt the climate crisis. I am speaking on behalf of Fridays for Future Dublin. We are a collective of young people who organise school strikes to demand climate action. 2 years ago, 7 million of us took to the streets to demand action, yet leaders still failed to act with the necessary urgency. Our Irish leaders have the opportunity to spearhead significant international change. We currently hold a seat as part of the UN Security Council, as well as our place in the EU. This gives us a unique opportunity to effect change. Yet time and time again, these meetings has left us with nothing but empty promises. Thank you. This is no longer enough. We are in the final decade in which significant action is still possible. It is still possible to limit warming enough to keep our people and planet safe, but we need to act now. The climate crisis affects everyone, but not equally. The most marginalised in our society always bear the worst impacts of this crisis. It is vital that any decisions made at COP incorporate true climate justice and uplift the people most vulnerable to its impacts. We have to protect the most marginalised during this transition, as violence against people in marginalised groups spikes during times of crisis. People from less advantaged socio-economic backgrounds, people of colour, people with disabilities, women, members of the LGBTQ+ community, and people or workers who are on the front lines of this crisis must be a part of the just transition to a greener economy. It is vital that any people whose livelihoods are lost as a result of this transition are given compensation and are retrained into green jobs. Thank you so much. Sorry. It is vital that any carbon taxes do not put the onus on the individual and instead place the onus on the corporations responsible for that pollution. It is vital that all of our biodiversity, habitats and ecosystems are protected and safeguarded. It is vital that we continue to demand action until our voices are truly heard and listened to. It is vital that action is taken now because we can no longer wait. Thank you all for coming today to show our leaders that we still care and we are still fighting and will continue to do so until a just future is guaranteed for everyone. Keep an eye out on Fridays for Future Dublin and Fridays for Future Ireland's social media for information about upcoming strikes and opportunities to join in more collective action. And remember that we are unstoppable. Another world is possible.
Thank you so much, Jessie, for those very inspiring and thoughtful and powerful words. We're going to start the march now, and as you set out, I would ask you to remember just that the planet Earth belongs to everyone equally. Each and every single one of us is entitled to an equal, dignified, respectful, secure place in that world. And as we think and have Jessie and the other speakers' words ringing in our ears, as we go forward to build, to imagine and to build that better world, that new world, let's think of it as being based on sustainability, humanity, human care, and equality, and always justice. Have a great march. See you in Marion Square. Thank you all for being here. Woo!
System change, no climate change! System change, no climate change!
Don't forget the yellow. Don't forget the yellow vest for the kids. The cops are telling us children should have the yellow vest. We have them up here.
System change, no climate change! System change, no climate change! System change, no climate change! System change, no climate change!
You don't have to do that. I'm still streaming.
Yeah, I think stream for a bit and then we can stop and then we can start again.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Good idea.
I think just maybe getting in to the march. We could go and ask a few people now on the live stream why they're here. I can do it with you if you want. I can do that.
Yeah, I'll follow you.
We got folks to be the lead and main.
Climate change! Not climate change! Not climate change! Not climate change!
Oh, hey, that's gone. Hey, how are you?
System change! A great trip and a great change! Not climate change! System 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 change! Not climate change! Rising seas deforestation! It's the greed of corporations! Rising seas deforestation!
It's the greed of corporations!
Rising seas deforestation!
It's the greed of corporations!
Rising seas deforestation!
It's the greed of corporations!
Rising seas deforestation.
It's the greed of corporations.
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 When the planet's on the line, no one worker left behind. When the planet's on the line,
No one worker left behind.
when the planet's on the line,
No one worker left behind.
when the planet's on the line,
No one worker left behind.
when the planet's on the line, when the planet's on the line,
No one worker left behind.
when the planet's on the line,
No one worker left behind.
when the planet's on the line,
No one worker left behind.
when the planet's on the line,
No one worker left behind.
when the planet's on the line.
No one worker left behind.
Sea levels rising.
So are we.
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 Carbon taxes no away. Make the real polluters pay. Carbon taxes no away.
Make the real polluters pay.
Carbon taxes no away.
Make the real polluters pay.
Carbon taxes no away.
Make the real polluters pay.
Carbon taxes not the way.
Make the real polluters pay.
Carbon taxes not the way.
Make the real polluters pay.
Carbon taxes not the way.
Make the real polluters pay.
Carbon taxes not the way.
Make the real polluters pay.
Carbon taxes not the way.
Make the real polluters pay.
Carbon taxes not the way.
Make the real polluters pay.
While the planet's on the line, no one worker left behind. Short memories. When the planet's on the line,
No one worker left behind.
when the planet's on the line,
No one worker left behind.
when the planet's on the line,
No one worker left behind.
when the planet's on the line.
No one worker left behind.
Yeah, definitely need it.
See you on the road, Rick! See you on the road!